Get away from them. I'm gonna end this right now.
No, I won't let you hurt them.
Stop! What is going on here?
You think money makes you their mother? Step aside before I remind you who built this house. The flames were alive, crawling up the marble walls. 2 terrified children cried by the fountain. And the man everyone thought was just the gardener finally stopped pretending. The mansion was burning. The air tasted like metal and ash. The roses, once a symbol of wealth and pride, were turning black. Lily and Noah huddled together near the garden fountain, coughing, their faces pale from smoke. Standing over them was Elara, elegant, calm, her diamond earrings flickering with reflected firelight. She was supposed to protect them. She was supposed to love them, but her eyes were cold, and her lips curved into something close to satisfaction. Then, through the haze, a shadow emerged, a man in torn clothes, dirt covering his arms, his face streaked with soot. The staff called him Ben, the gardener, quiet, invisible. But tonight, silence had turned into fury. He walked toward Elara with steady steps, firelight glinting off his eyes. "You think money makes you their mother?" he said. "Step aside before I remind you who built this house." Elara froze. Behind that soot-covered face was Alexander Vance, the billionaire who owned everything around them, the man the world believed had disappeared. Months earlier, Alexander had vanished from the spotlight. His wife had died 2 years before, leaving him broken. Every photo, every board meeting, every empty applause reminded him of what he'd lost out, so he stepped away from everything. He didn't sell his companies. He didn't flee the country. He simply changed his name and his clothes. He became Ben, the gardener he wanted to see who truly cared for his children. When he wasn't watching, Elara had entered his life after the funeral. She was beautiful, patient, and seemingly kind. She said the right words, held the right tears, and made the world believe she loved him for who he was. But underneath that polished smile was hunger. She wanted control over his money, his company, his legacy. When he vanished, she took it all. She told the world he'd gone on a spiritual retreat, that she was managing his affairs until he returned. No one questioned it. Inside the mansion, Elara ruled like a queen. She dismissed old staff, rewrote accounts, and filled the halls with strangers who answered only to her. She treated the children like props perfect for photos, forgotten afterward. Among the few remaining staff was Maria the maid, a quiet woman with tired eyes and gentle hands. She never complained, never gossiped. She just worked cleaning, cooking, caring. When she saw the gardener struggling with heavy pots, she helped him. When the children cried for their mother, she sang them lullabies. When Elara humiliated the staff, Maria bowed her head and whispered, "Kindness always returns." The gardener Alexander noticed her. She treated everyone with respect, even him, the man covered in dirt. He shared his lunch with her under the oak tree, and she shared her stories. About her son back home, about how honesty costs more than money. He felt something stir inside him, a reminder of what real decency looked like. Elara began locking doors. She whispered into her phone late at night. Pacing near the study, one day Maria found a torn letter in the trash, a transfer receipt for millions, signed under Alexander's company name, but in Elara's handwriting. Maria's heart pounded. She wanted to tell someone, but who would believe a maid? So she watched quietly, memorizing every suspicious detail. The gardener noticed too. He'd seen Elara's greed long before, but needed proof. Still, every time he looked at his children, their eyes filled with confusion and fear. He wondered how long he could stay silent. Then came the night of the fire. It started with a faint hiss, the smell of gas. Near the eastern wall, Maria woke to the flicker of orange light creeping under her door. She ran barefoot to the children's room, kicked it open, and saw flames climbing the curtains. "Come on, babies, come on," she cried, wrapping them in wet towels, pulling them toward the back garden, but the main gate was blocked. Elara stood there in a silk robe, face expressionless, hand resting on the lock. Behind her, Through the smoke came the gardener. He moved fast, lifting Noah with one arm. Guiding Lily with the other. Elara hissed, "You don't belong here." And that's when he said it. "You think money makes you their mother? Step aside before I remind you who built this house." The truth landed like thunder. Maria gasped. Ilara's mask cracked. The gardener wasn't a gardener at all. He was Alexander Vance's father, builder, billionaire, and man of quiet fire. By morning, the flames were out. But the world outside was burning with questions. Cameras lined the gates. Reporters shouted theories. Ilara stood in a designer robe, pretending to cry. "This tragedy has broken our family," she said. "But we will rebuild." Then the gates opened. Alexander walked out, hands blackened, shirt torn, his children beside him, Maria close behind. The crowd fell silent. He stopped in front of Ilara. His voice was calm, almost too calm. "I trusted you," he said. "You betrayed everything that love ever built." Before she could respond, Maria stepped forward. In her hand was a flash drive, the same one she'd saved from the office before the fire. Inside it were recordings, transactions, and emails, everything Ilara had tried to destroy. The police took it. The crowd erupted in whispers. Ilara's composure shattered. Her diamonds didn't shine anymore. Justice had no soundtrack. No speech, just silence and truth. When the officers led Ilara away, Alexander turned to Maria. The children clung to her. Trembling, he placed a hand on her shoulder. "You saved my children," he said softly. She shook her head, tears in her eyes. "No, sir, you saved them." "I just did what any mother would do." He smiled faintly. "No, Maria, you did what every hero does. You ran toward the fire while everyone else ran away." Weeks later, the mansion stood rebuilt. But this time, it was not a monument to wealth. It was a home. Maria stayed, not as the maid, but as the children's guardian. She managed the house with warmth and pride. Every morning, Alexander still tended the garden, hands in the soil, sleeves rolled up. The roses he planted grew brighter, blooming where the fire once raged. When the sun rose, Lily and Noah would run to him, laughing. Maria would smile from the kitchen window. And for the first time in years, Alexander felt peace not from fortune, but from family. In a world obsessed with status, this story reminds us titles fade. Money burns, but kindness, loyalty, and quiet courage never die. Sometimes. The gardener is the king, and sometimes. The maid is the angel who saves everything worth saving. If this story touched your heart, comment where you're watching from. Would you have trusted the gardener? Subscribe for more stories about the silent heroes who prove that love and honor never need to shout.